Hey everybody, my name is Jonathan Alvarez, and I want to talk about a culture that I belong to. The culture I belong to is being an only child. What does it mean to be an only child? It means that you're spoiled, you're lonely, antisocial, and selfish. Before I mention anything else, I want to mention a quote that I remember from middle school, and the quote goes something like, "Throughout life, people will make you mad, disrespect you, and treat you bad. Let God deal with the things that they do, because hating your heart will only consume you too." So I personally would have wished I knew this quote earlier throughout my middle school years and my elementary years, since this helped me get through my last year of middle school, and it also helped me get through my high school years as well. Being an only child did come with only also having a single parent. So being an only child and having a single parent did make it very difficult for me as I grew up. Having a single parent, I would go to school every single day, and I would hear students just talk about how both their parents would love them, how their parents bought them this and that, how they have new things, how they got the new phones, how they had the new kicks here and there. And when other students would view me, they would consider me as a spoiled brat because I was the only child, so they expected me to have the newest things. When in reality, it wasn't like that. Um, Having a single mom, she does work hard. She does provide everything I need, but I grew up I grew up not asking for the things that I wanted. Instead, I grew up uh, just having having to embrace and appreciate the things that I have already, not wanting to have more, not having that greedy need of wanting more and more. So I remember in my middle school days, uh, the people that I would consider my so-called friends, they would make fun of me, bully me. I remember one time I showed up to class, and like I mentioned before, I love playing soccer, so my shoes weren't always in the best conditions. My shoes were torn apart, ripped, and I also did skate as well, so my shoes were in that condition because playing soccer and skating. And as I grew up, I didn't always have a lot of pair of shoes. I only had one or two pair of shoes, and those were both of them were my beaters at the time. So I remember going to school one day, and I showed up with my shoes while everybody had brand new shoes. They had brand new things, and I remember when one of the people that I consider my friends began making fun of me and everything. And since they knew I was the only child and that I had a single parent, they made fun of me. I heard everything from like, oh, maybe your dad want to go buy you shoes or something like that. Oh, you know what? Your dad's out here looking for brand new shoes. Or you know what? This and that. So all of that did make me feel bad. I would go home. I would never cry or anything, but it did always lower my self-esteem. And then going home, being an only child, it does mean that you do have a lot of pressure. So my mom wasn't able to have any other kids. She did have a miscarriage before me as well. So there's that. And being an only child meant that I felt the pressure of having to do having to do very well in school. I felt the pressure of doing the things my mom wasn't able to do, and I felt the pressure on just giving just giving having everybody else in my family see that I was able to do what they couldn't do as well. Other than that, um, as an only child, people do view only child as a lonely people. I would say there were moments where I felt pretty lonely. I wish I had siblings as well. I really wish I had an older brother or a younger brother, older sister, someone I could hear advice from, someone that I can just talk to when my days were going bad, when I would come from school. I had a very, very bad day. I wasn't feeling it. I just wish I had someone that could give me advice, one to help me out with my homework, someone I can play soccer with, someone I can go just walk around with. But unfortunately, I wasn't able to have that. And then being selfish, people expect you just because you're spoiled, you don't want to share. You're always that type of greedy person. I was never like that. So thankfully, all the things that people view as that see only child that makes them stereotype, I could say I'm not like that. So uh, just getting over my middle school phase did come high school. Uh, I didn't expect my high school sometimes to be just be hell for me. I figured that as kids got older, I expected them to be a bit more mature, but it turns out high school was just another middle school year for me. I would still get bullied. I would still get made fun of. There were moments where I just didn't want to go to school. Uh, it all went downhill from that. I started doing really bad at school and everything, to the point where my mom just began suffering. She did start crying because my grades went down and everything. So just going home and just seeing my mom just suffer. I did try to remember the quote that I mentioned uh, previously, and like I said, that was that quote that helped me get through middle school. So I knew my middle school years were pretty much hell for me, but I did try to remember that that quote, so it would help me on a daily basis. Uh, like I said, those friends who I consider my so-called friends, they did bully me a lot. So I did have a lot of hate towards them. I remember I would go to school. I always wanted to beat them up just because they would make fun of me. They would call me names. They would just say a lot of bad things that would really bring my self-esteem down. My confidence was down as well. So there's that. But at the end of the day, I do know that I'm thankful for being the only child, for only having a single mom, because my mom is honestly, she is my mother and father figure to me. She did the best for me. She got me to the point where I'm here in college. She did help me with homework and everything. So I gotta appreciate her for that. And being the only child isn't that bad. Being the only child doesn't mean that you're gonna be spoiled or anything. No, being the only child just means that you just that you don't being an only child doesn't mean that you have it all, because you really don't. But it also means that you do have everything, because you do have a better chance on getting more stuff than when it comes to having a brother or two, and things have to be fairly split. So there's that. But being an only child, when it comes to feeling lonely, you do feel lonely, but at the same time you don't feel lonely because you're able to make friends. And like I mentioned before, uh, I'm not an antisocial person. I love making new friends. I love interacting with others. I do love talking to other people, texting, hanging out. I'm always down for anything. So there's that. So yeah, sorry guys if you guys hear a lot of background noise. I'm not in my house just because there's a lot of noise around where I'm at. But thank you guys. I hope you enjoyed the video.